Hello everyone. In today's video we are going to talk about Active Directory, DNS and DHCP crash course for entry-level IT support jobs. Myself Mohammed Zubair and this channel is all about showing you how to become a highly paid IT pro really fast. So without any further ado, let's get started. Well, first of all, I'll start with the Active Directory. And this is my Windows server, and at the moment, nothing is installed into this one. So to start with Active Directory, we have to have some roles and features installed in it. So for that purpose, just click on this Manage button and click on Add Roles and Features. It will open a window like this for you. From here, make sure to go with role-based or feature-based installation and click on Next. This is your system at the moment, and this is its IP address that has been assigned to it. After that, do not worry and do not change anything. From here, make sure to go for select a server from the server pool. Click on Next. Now, these are different features that we can install. For example, we have DHCP available, DNS server available, fax server, Hyper-V, and many more. But as we are talking about the Active Directory, so here we have Active Directory and we need that. And for the sake of this video, we need to have Active Directory domain services. We do not need anything else like Active Directory certificate service, federation services, lightweight directory services, things like that. We only need Active Directory domain services. So just click on it, and along with that, here we have a small box. Just make sure to check it. It will show you all the features that are going to be installed along with this one. So make sure you have everything in here, and after that, click on this Add Feature button. Now, what you can do, you can just click on Next button. Here we have some more features that we can install along with it, but I would recommend you to leave everything as it is and click on Next. Now, here we have the summary information about what we are going to do and what we are going to get, and basically it's Azure Active Directory, so just click on Next, do not worry. And here it is asking if we want to restart the destination server automatically if required. Do not worry, it's all up to you. If you want to go for that, do it, or if you want to leave it, leave it. I would recommend you to leave it. After that, you just need to click on this Install button. Now, it will install all these features into your Windows server. So it will take a little bit of time, so we'll wait for it, and then I'll show you what it is and what are the different things that we need to do in order to configure our Active Directory and how can we use it and what are the different features it has to offer us. So let's wait for it. And now if you see here, we have a message as configuration required, installation succeeded on this particular system. So just click on this close button, and here you see we have an icon that says we have some new notification. Just click on this flag or click on this notification icon, and here it says promote this server to a domain controller. Well, as we have just installed Active Directory, so we have to do some configuration to it. So just go for the option. Now, here we'll create a new domain for our Windows server in our Active Directory. Let's say you have an existing domain and you want to add a domain controller into that one. You can go for the first option, or if you want to add a new domain to an existing forest, you can go for the second option. Or let's say you want to have a new forest and a new domain from scratch, go for the third option. I'll do the same and I'll go for the third option. Here, it is asking you to enter your root domain name. It can be anything as per your liking. In my case, I'll go for sbt.com. After that, I'll just click on Next. And from here, we can select the forest functional level. As I'm using Windows Server 2016, I have option to go prior to that one. We have 2008, 2008 R2, and same goes for 2012. I'll stick with 2016, and here it says domain functional level. We only have one choice with respect to that, so I'll stick with it. Down here, it is asking us to have the password for that particular domain. I'll keep my password and make sure to have a strong one. After that, I'll confirm my password. And now you just need to click on Next. From here, again click on Next and do not worry about anything. Now it will again ask you to have your NetBIOS domain name. I'll keep the same name that I had for my domain, and that was sbt.com. Here it is, it has taken it on its own and it has been verified that we are on the right track. After that, just click on Next. And here we have some of the information about the location of our Active Directory DS database. This is the database folder, this is the log files folder, and this is another folder. In case if you want to change this directory, you can do so. Just click on this 3-dot button and from here go to the directory where you want to keep it. I'll just close this one because I'm okay with the default setting. I'll just click on next. And here we have all the summary of what we have done till now. After that, just click on next. And here it is checking the prerequisites. After that, it will give you an option to install this feature and have a domain name for our Active Directory in Windows Server. Here it says all prerequisite checks passed successfully. So it means we are done with everything and there is no problem and we are ready to install. So I'll just click on this install button and now it will take a little bit of time to have every installation that is needed. So let's wait for it. We are done with the installation and now our system will restart on its own. So let's wait for the restart and we'll log in back with the new domain that we created. I have installed my Windows Server in my VMware. So do not worry, you can install it anywhere. You can install it directly onto your machine. You can install it into your VMware. You can install it into your VirtualBox. It's all up to you. So we are back with the restart of our system and now we need to sign in. Here it says press Ctrl Alt plus Delete to unlock. So just go to your VM option at the top of your VMware and from here it says send Ctrl Alt Delete. I'll just click on it and here it is. Now you see we have a new domain as sbt/administrator. It means we have SBT and it also has administrative privileges. So we just need to enter the password that we had set earlier when we were creating this domain. So I'll just enter that password and then we just need to sign in with this account or with this domain, and we have successfully done that. So now it is starting up. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open my server manager, which is right here. Every service is up and running, and now what we need to do, we need to go for the Active Directory and see what are the different things that it has to offer us. So for that purpose, just click on this tool section, but wait, here it is loading everything up. As you can see, we have a bar and here you can see now everything is green. Now go to your tools and click on Active Directory users and computers. It will open a new window like this for you. And here we have our domain that we created with the name of sbt.com. If you just expand this further, here we have different things that it has to offer. We have some of the built-in components. We can add different computers. Here we have domain controllers, we have users and many other things. For example, if I just expand computers further, at the moment we do not have any computer. So basically what you can do here, you can add other computers from other networks into this one and you can control all of them from here. And obviously for that purpose you have to share a domain with those computers, which is sbt.com in my case. After that, here we can have domain controllers, which is my system at this time. Then we have users, and under the users here you see we have different groups. First group is administrator. Then we have like DNS admins, DNS update proxy and things like that. These are all the groups. So what you can do, you can create new user into your this domain and you can add those user into any of these groups. And you can further add those groups into another group and I'll show you everything. Now, there is one more thing that we can add into this domain and that is called as organizational unit. Organizational unit is just like a component or a container in which we can have different things. We can have different users, we can have different computers into that one, we can have different groups. So let's say I want to create a new container or a new organizational unit for my company. So for that, I'll just right click on my sbt.com, which is my domain, and here it says new. Go to new option and here it says organizational unit. Just click on it. For that, I'll just write here video department. Let's say I have a video department in my organization and I want to have an organizational unit for that into my domain. So I have just created it. I'll just click on OK and here it is. Now let's say I want to have further two organizational unit into that one. One for the editing team and one for the recording team. So I'll just right click on it. I'll go to new and I'll click on organizational unit. And this time I'll name it as editing team and just click on OK. And now you see editing team is a part of my video department organizational unit. Let's create another one. So I'll just click on this video department and either you can right click on it or you have some options at the top. Here it says we can create a new user in this container. Here we can create a new group and this is for the new organizational unit. So just click on it and I'll name this one as recording team and just click on OK. And now both of these organizational units are part of my video department organizational unit. Now let's go for the editing team. So as it's a team, obviously there should be some users that are working in it. So in order to create a new user in it, either you can right click on your editing team organizational unit, or as it is selected, here we have its window, just right click in this window and go to new section. And from here, click on this user option. And in here we have to put the information for the user that we are going to create. Let's say the first name of my editing team member is Kevin. After that, it says initials. You can keep it or you can leave it as it is. Then for the last name, I'll name it as David. After that, here we have the full name, and you can assign the user login name to Kevin David as per your liking as well. So I'll name it as kdavid. And this will be the domain name, which is @spt.com. After that, just click on next. Now here we have to set the password for David and make sure it follows the policy of Active Directory. And it is that you should use some alphabets, some words, some special characters, etc. and things like that. After that, down here we have some option. It says user must change password at next logon. It means you will give Kevin David these credentials, this password and the username that you have created for him. And he will be able to log in into the system for the first time with these credentials that you are going to provide him. But you want him to have his own password for his liking. So for that purpose, you should go for the first option that will force Kevin David to change the password. In case if you do not want him to do that and you want to keep the control of everything upon him, you can go for the second option. Then we have two more options. It's all up to you that how do you want to go. So from here, just click on next. And here we have the summary information. Just click on finish. And here we have successfully created a user. So let's say we have another editor into the team and I want to create that one into my editing team organizational unit. I can do that. Right click on it, go to your new section and click on this user option and you are good to go. So I'll just name this user as Ali, and after that for the second name, I'll name it as Mo, and here we have its full name. Now for the logon name, I'll name it as AMO and @spt.com will be the domain. Click on next, and here we have to have the password, and after that you can keep on going. So I'll just confirm my password from here. After that, I'll stay with the first option. I'll just click on next, click on finish, and we are done. So basically we have successfully created two of the users into one of the organizational unit that we have created. Now we have seen how can we create a new user, new organizational unit. Now if I right click onto my domain name and from here go to my new, what I can do, I can create a new computer that I have talked about and mentioned earlier, that how we can add new computers from other networks onto this one. We can create a new contacts, new groups and things like that. And down here we have new printer, users, shared folder, etc. This time I'm going to show you that how we can create a user directly into our domain. Earlier we created a user into one of the organizational unit. Now just right click onto your domain name, go to your new option and click on user. This user will be added into your domain directly and will not be a part of any of the organizational unit. So make sure where do you want to create your user. Now you see we have two of the members in here. Let's create a group into this organizational unit, which is editing team. I'll just right click on it and from here I'll go to new and here it says group. I'll just click on this one. You can name your group anything. I'll name it as quality control department. After that, this will be the group scope, which is global. This will be the group type. If you want to change it, go for it. But I would recommend you to stay with the default options. Just click on OK. And now you see we have successfully created a group with the name of quality control department. And here if further expand it, here you see the security group is global. Now let's add these two users or one of the users into this group. How can we do so? Well, I'll show you several ways. Just right click on any of the users that you want to add into a group. After that, go to its properties. Here it will give you the detailed information about it. For example, at the moment the general information is this is the address, and here we have the account information, and here you see we have the configuration as user must change password at next logon. Then here we have its organization. Here we have its remote control access, account and things like that. But I'm concerned with member of. If you just click on it, at the moment this user is not a member of any group, except domain users. Here if you go back, let me just cross this one and let me go to the users. Here you will see we have our domain user. So basically our users are part of this group. Now let's go back. Let's right click on our Kevin David. Let's go to properties, member of. So what I want to have a new group for this user. So for that, click on this add button, go to your advanced option, and from here click on find now. It will show you all the groups that are available into your Active Directory and your domain. So if you remember, the name of our group was quality control. So I'll just search for that, and here it is. It is created under sbt.com/video department/editing team. If you see here information. So I'll just double click on it, and now here we have the group. Click on OK, and we have successfully added that user into this particular group, which is quality control. I'll just click on apply and I click on OK. Now let's right click on it again, go to its properties, and now if I go for member of, here you see this user is member of these two groups. So this is how you can add user into a particular group. Let's add second user, but this time let's use some other way. Just right click on it, click on properties, and go to your member of and click on add. Instead of clicking on advanced and then clicking on find now, you can write the name of the group in here. I'll just write here quality. So I have just written the initials, and here I'll click on check names. So what it will do, it will check if there is any group with this name. Yes, we do have a group available with the quality control department. Just click on OK, and now this user is also part of this particular group. We are done. Click on apply, click on OK. Let's see another way, and that is right click on your quality control department group and click on add to a group. So basically what you can do, you can add this group into another group. So how cool is that? So just click on advanced, click on find now, and let's say I do not have information about the name of the group in which I want to add this group. So what I can do, I can go for this path. Here we have administrator group. So I want my group to be a part of administrators. So for that, I'll just select administrators, click on OK. And from here, I'll click on OK. And here it says the add to group operation was successfully completed. It means now my group is a part of administrator and it will have the administrative privileges. How cool is that? Now I'll right click on it, click on properties, and here it says general. Now here, if I click on members, you see both of the users are part of my group that I have created into my editing team organizational unit. How cool is that? So what I can do, I can directly add further users into this one. How? Here we have a button that says add. Just click on it and look for the username that exists into your domain name. You will be able to add that particular user into that group. Earlier we were adding the name or entering the name of the groups. Now we have to enter the name of the user. Let's say I write here Kevin. Let's see if it is able to find it or not. But we have already added Kevin. So let's see what happens. I'll just click on OK, click on OK, and Kevin has been added successfully earlier as well. So just click on apply, click on OK, and we are good to go. So I have restarted my Windows server, and if I go to VM and click on send control alt delete, and here we have login screen. If I go to other users, and here if you remember we created two users. If I write here AMO, which was Ali Mo, and this was his username that I gave to him. After that, let's have its password, and let's try to sign in with this username. Hit enter, and here it says the user's password must be changed before signing in. If you remember, we went with the option that forced the user to have its own password when he or she signed in for the first time. So here it is exactly doing that. I'll click on OK, and here I'll have a new password. And after that, I'll be able to use password whenever I log in into the system. So how cool is that? So after hitting the enter, it says your password has been changed. So just click on OK, and now we'll be signing into our server as Ali Mo. And I'll be using Windows Server now as Ali Mo, and I'll have the privileges that have been assigned to that particular users. So now I'm not using the system as a domain, which was sbt.com, but now I'm using the system and Active Directory as Ali Mo. So that was all about the Active Directory and how you can install it, how you can have its configuration, how you can make sure that it is up and running perfectly. And then we saw that how we can create different organizational unit, how we can create different users group, and then how to add different users into different groups and things like that. And we have also seen that how to sign in with the user and its credential that we have created. So that was all about the Active Directory and we are done with it. And now let's talk about the DNS. Let's see what it is, how to configure it and how we can use that. Well, DNS basically stands for Domain Name System. It's a decentralized system that translates your domain names into the IP addresses. So basically, when you enter a website URL into your web browser, the browser sends a request to a DNS server to resolve the domain name into an IP address. And once the IP address is obtained, the browser can then send a request to the web server hosting the website and retrieve the web page. DNS works by using a hierarchical system of DNS servers that stores your records of domain names and their corresponding IP addresses. And when a DNS server receives a request for domain name, it first checks its local cache to see if it has a record for the domain name. If it doesn't, it sends a request to a higher level DNS server, which may in turn forward the request to an even higher level server until a server is found that has a record. Okay, this might be a bit confusing for you. Let me show you an example and let me show you that how it actually works and what is basically the work, or you can say the duty of DNS. So here if I write google.com, so basically what I have done, I have used the domain name for Google, which is google.com. And after hitting enter, it has taken me to the web page of Google. Along with this DNS name, we have an IP address that is associated with it. So if I write the IP address, it will also take me to this particular page. So let me just enter the IP address of Google. Well, there are many, you can use any one. So I'll write here 74.125.24.100 and I hit enter. And here you see it has again taken me to the same page. So basically DNS server translates your IP addresses into domain name and then your domain name into IP addresses. And how does it work? Well, we have to see about that. So let's go back to our Windows server. Here is our Windows server. And first of all, what you need to do, you need to have a static IP address because DNS needs to have one. So on to your local server, here you see we have Ethernet 0. Just right click on this IP address or just click on it. It will open a window like this for you. Right click on your Ethernet, go to its properties and from here, go to your Internet Protocol version 4. Click on its properties and here it is. I have used this IP address for my DNS. You can use your own or you can go with your liking. After that, make sure to go for DNS server address as well and keep it the same as your IP address. After that, click on OK and here you see we have Internet Protocol version 6 as well. For the moment, we do not need it. By default, it is also enabled, but I'm going with disabling it because I don't need it. After that, just click on close and you just need to close this window as well. And if you do not see your IP address in here, just click on this refresh button. And after refreshing it, you will see your IP address or the static IP address that you have set now. So we are done in here and now what we need to do, we need to have roles of DNS server. Click on this manage button, click on add roles and feature, click on next, leave everything as it is. This is a server or server pool where we are going to install our DNS. Click on next. Here we have different services that we can go for. While I'm going for DNS server, just click on this checkbox. These are the features that are going to be installed. Just click on add feature and from here click on next. Okay, leave everything as it is from here. Click on next once again. Click on next once again and we are done here. And here we have summary information. Leave everything as it is and do not check anything in here. Just click on install. And here the installation process has started. It will take a very short time. And after that, I'll show you that how you can use it to create different zones and how you can translate your IP addresses into DNS and your domain name into your IP addresses. So let's wait for it to get completed. And if you see, we are done here with the installation. So just click on this close button and we are good to go. So here, if you see, we have forward lookup zones and then we have reverse lookup zone. So basically we have to create one zone into this one and then one into this one as well. Why do we need to do that and what is the function of each of these? Well, basically a forward lookup zone is a DNS zone that resolves your domain names into your IP addresses. This means that when a client computer needs to resolve the IP address for a specific domain name, it queries the DNS server and the DNS server checks its forward lookup zone to see if it has a record for that domain name. And if I talk about the reverse lookup zone, it works in the reverse order. Basically, it resolves your IP addresses to your domain names. This means that when a client computer needs to resolve the domain name for a specific IP addresses, it first queries the DNS server, and the DNS server then checks its reverse lookup zones to see if it has a record for that IP address. So these were the functions of forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. And now what we need to do, we need to create our zone. So first of all, let's start with forward lookup zone. So I'll just right click on it, and here it says new zone. I'll just click on it. From here, just click on next. And here we have different types that we can go for our forward lookup zone. In case if you want to have a copy of zone that can be updated directly onto the server, go for the primary one. Then we have the secondary, then we have stub, and then we also have fourth option that is associated with your Active Directory. And if you remember, we have already discussed Active Directory, and this DNS will be linked with your Active Directory on its own. Okay, I'll just uncheck this. I'll just click on next. In here, it is asking you to have your zone name. It can be anything. I'll go for sbt.com or skillsbuildtraining.com. You can go for any name as per your liking. Just click on next, and here it is telling us that this new file will be created and the name of a file will be this. If you want to change it, you can do so, but I would recommend you to stay with the default one that is given to you by your DNS, because we named it SBT, and after that it has added DNS on its own. And in case if you have an existing one, just go for this option and you can go for this as well. But I'll go for the first option, which is the default one. Click on next, and from here it is asking for the dynamic updates. Well, I would recommend you to not allow dynamic updates because I want to do them manually. In case if you want to go for, just go for the options as per your liking and as per the compatibility of your requirements. After that, click on next. This is the summary information about the name, types, its lookup type, file name, etc. Just click on finish, and here we have our zone that we have created successfully. And at the moment its status is running, and this is its type, which is standard primary. Okay, either you can double click on this one, or you can further open your forward lookup zones folder or directory, and here we have sbt.com. If I just click on it, here we have our start of authority and name servers. Well, basically these two are the services that we need and we get by default into our zones. And down here we have one more thing, and that is host, and it gets created by default into our forward lookup zone. And in case if you don't get any host by default into your forward lookup zone, do not worry, I'll show you how you can create your host as well. After that, here we have reverse lookup zone. Let's go into this one and let's create a zone into this one as well. So I'll just go for new zone, next, again click on next, go for the default option, click on next, and I'll stay with the IPv4 because if you remember, we disabled IPv6. I'll just click on next, and here it is asking us about the network ID. If you remember, my IP address was 172.18.72.5. Here we only need to have first 3 octets. After that, just click on next, and down here you see this is the reverse lookup zone name, and it has been given by default. Just click on next, and from here I'll again go for not allow dynamic update option. So I'll just check this checkbox, I'll just click on next, and this is the summary information, and now I'll just click on finish. Here we have the reverse lookup zone. I'll just double click on it, and here if you see, we again have 2 services that are up and running. So let's go back to our forward lookup zone. Here it is, and now let's talk about how we can create a new host into this one. So basically, first of all, just right click here or right click on your zone, and from here you can also create your host. So I'll just right click here, I'll click on new host. Here you have to give the name to your host that you want to create. It can be anything. And here if you see, here we have the name as my system name. So basically it has taken this system name on its own for this host. You can name your host anything. Let's go for DNS_course. This will be the name, and down here we have the whole domain name as DNS_course.sbt.com. And if you remember, sbt.com is our zone, which is right here. After that, here it is asking you to have the IP address for this particular domain name. It will be 172.18.72.5. You can associate or you can assign any other IP address as per your liking, but I'm going with the same IP address that I have for my system. After that, here if you see, we have the same IP address for the host that is there by default. So let's change it. I'll go for 15 this time. After that, just click on add host, and here it says host has been added successfully. So just click on OK and we are done. Just click on this done button and you are good to go. So as we have created a host, we also need to have its information into our reverse lookup zone. Only then DNS will be translated into IP address and IP address will be translated into DNS. So I'll go to my reverse lookup zone, I'll right click on it and I'll click on new pointer. Here we have host IP address and down here we have fully qualified domain name, and here it is asking us to have the host name. Well, either you can write the host name on your own, and in case if you do not remember it, go for this option that says browse. Here we have our server, here we have our forward lookup zone. Our zone is here, which is spt.com, and down here we have two of the hosts that we can go for. First of all, I'll go for the first one. I'll just click on OK, and here you see we have successfully created a pointer for the first one. Now I'll right click on it again. I'll click on new pointer, and this time again I'll go for browse, my server, my zone, and here we have the second domain name, which was DNS_course. I'll just double click on it, click on OK, and we have successfully created a pointer for this as well. Now it's time to check if it is working or not. For that purpose, we'll open NSLookup. Just go to your DNS and right click on it. From here, click on launch NSLookup. Here it is. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the IP address, or I can write the domain name to check if they are working or not. So first of all, I'll write here 172.18.72.5, which is the IP address for the host that was there by default. Hit enter. So here you see we have this address and it is associated with this, which is my windowsname.spt.com. And if I go for second IP address, which was 172.18.72.15, if I hit enter, you see 15 is associated with DNS_course.spt.com. So if you remember, this is the host that we have created. And this time what I'm gonna do, I'm going to write the domain name, not the IP address. So this time I'll write here DNS_course.sbt.com. And if I hit enter, it should return me over the IP address. So here if you see, this domain name is been associated with this IP address. Okay, there is one more thing that I want to discuss. This is our forward lookup zone, and if I right click here and I click on new host, well, I'll name it as www. You can name it anything, and this will be our domain name, which is www.spt.com. And in terms of IP address, I'll go for 172.18.72.20. And down here it says create associated pointer record. It means this time you will not have to add pointer in reverse lookup zone for this particular domain name or this particular host. After that, just click on add host, click on OK, and we are done. Now, if I write here 172.18.72.20, hit enter, you see we have this IP address associated with www.sbt.com. Now to confirm if it is working or not, let's open our command prompt. So I'll look for cmd, which is command prompt, and it is right here. I'll just click on this one, and what I'll do, I'll write here ping space 172.18.72.5. So basically what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to ping the default host or default IP address that was associated in our forward lookup zone by the DNS. Hit enter. So here it is sending the packets and it is getting the response as well. So it has sent 4, it has received 4, and the loss is 0%. And now let's try ping space www.sbt.com. And if you remember, the IP address associated with this host is 172.18.72.20. Enter. So here if you see, again we have sent 4 packets, we have received 4 packets, and the loss was 0. So that shows it is working pretty fine. And that brings me to the end of DNS part, and that was all about it. So we have seen that how we can configure it. First of all, we have seen that how we can add roles of DNS. Then we saw that how we can open that from our tools and how we can create our forward lookup zone, our reverse lookup zone, and how we can have different hosts and how we can have its pointer as well. So that was all about it. And now let's move ahead and let's see what do we have in terms of DHCP. If we talk about the DHCP, well, DHCP server is responsible for assigning the IP addresses to your network devices. Let's say you have created a network and you have hundreds of devices that are part of your network. So in terms of assigning IP addresses to all of your network devices, you need to have DHCP server, because manually this might be very hectic and it will not be possible as well. So DHCP server will take care of this. It will assign IP address to each one of your device into your network, either it's a computer, mobile, your printer, or any other devices that are part of your network. So first thing first, we have to include it into our Windows server. So again, I'll go to my manage and I'll click on add roles and features. After that, from here, click on next, and I'm going with role based or feature based installation. And at the top, you can also see it is also determining the destination server, which is my system at the moment. Click on next. This is the destination server. And in case if you want to go for a different server or a different virtual hard disk, you can go for the second option from here. I'm okay with the default one. Just click on next. And from here, we'll select our DHCP server. So I'll just check this checkbox and these features are going to be added. So I'll just click on add features. From here, click on next. And from here, in case if you want to select some other features, you can do so. I'm okay with the default selection, so I'll just click on next. Again, click on next. And this is the summary of everything that we are going to get. In case if you want to restart your server after the installation gets completed, go for this checkbox and just click on install. I do not want to restart it, so I'll just click on install it. After clicking on install, the installation process will just start. So let's wait for the process to get completed and then we'll move ahead. We are done here with the installation, and if you see it says configuration required. Well, do not worry, I'll show you what we have to do here. So just click on close, and here you see we have a caution in here. Just click on it and click on complete DHCP configuration. After that, here it is asking and telling us that these steps will be performed to complete the configuration of our DHCP server. So just click on next, and here it is asking us to have the username. I'm okay with the default one, and in case if you want to go for some alternative, you can do so from here. Just click on commit and we are done. Click on close and we have successfully configured our DHCP server as well, and as you can see in here, its status, it is up and running. So from here you can monitor its events, you can monitor its services that it has to offer. Let me just close this one. These are the services, and after that we have its performance measurements. You can measure the performance of it, and down here we have BPA results as well. I'll not go into the detail of this one. So now it's time to launch our DHCP server. So for that, go to your tools section at the top right corner and click on your DHCP, which is right here. It will open a window like this for you. Let me increase its size. Let me increase this pane size as well. So here it is. Let me just open my server from here, and here we have IPv4 and IPv6. So basically what we can do, we can configure both of these in here. I'm not going for IPv6, I'll stick with IPv4. If I just click on this one, at the moment we do not have any scope in here. If I go to server option, we do not have anything in here. We do not have any policies, and same goes for the filters as well. Okay, what we need to do here, we need to have a scope in here for our IPv4. Scope will allow you to select a pool of IP addresses that you can use in order to assign different IP addresses to your network devices. For example, let's say I have 100 devices into my network. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose 100 or 110 IP addresses into this scope, and then I'll assign one IP address to one network device. So from here, just click on next, and here we have to give name to our scope that we are going to create. You can name it anything. I'll go for scope 1. After that, you can have description in here as well, and it's all up to you. If you want to leave it, you can do so. Just click on next from here, and here it is asking us to have the start IP address. It means it is asking us to determine the range that will start from a particular IP address. I'll go for 192.168.18 dot, let's go for 20. Now we have to determine the end IP address as well, or end of the range. For that I'll go for 192.168.18 and let's go for 70. So basically we are keeping around 50 IP addresses into our pool or into our scope. After that, here we have the length and down here we have the subnet mask. If you go for 16 as your length, you will see that your subnet mask will also change. As you can see, now we have 255.255.0.0, but it is always recommended to go for 24. So I'll go for 24 and now we have 255.255.255.0 as subnet mask. Click on next and now here it is asking if we want to exclude some of the IP addresses. Well, you might be wondering that why do we need to exclude some of the IP addresses when we have a lot of devices into our network? Well, let's say you have some printers, some fax machines and things like that into your network, and they are already part of your network. So it means some IP addresses have been used already. So in that case, you should exclude those IP addresses that have been assigned to your printers and things like that, because it will prevent the conflict when you will be assigning the IP addresses to other devices. Let's say IP address A is assigned to printer and now a computer comes into your network. So if you have not excluded that IP address, which is A, your computer will try to access that IP address and that will create a conflict. So in that case, we should exclude those IP addresses that we want to use for some other purposes. So for that, I'll write here 192.168.18 dot and I'll start from 20 and for the end I'll go for 192.168.18 and let's go for 25. Now if I just click on add, you will see that this range will be added in here. Here you see. After that, click on next and here it is telling us about the lease duration. It means for how much time you want to assign the IP address for a particular machine or to a particular machine. At the moment it is 8 days. It means when a machine gets an IP address from the DHCP server, it will have that IP address for 8 days. But I don't want a machine to have a particular IP address for that long. So what I can do, I can assign a different time zone in here. I'll go for 4 hours and I'll remove the days from here. Now after every 4 hours, machine will have to contact to DNS and DHCP server again to get the new IP address. And that will also make sure that IP addresses are available for other machines to connect to our network. Click on next from here and here it is asking if we want to configure the options. Yes, I do want to. Click on next and here it is asking about the router's default gateway. I'll go for 192.168.18.1 and this will be the default gateway for our router. Just click on add, click on next and this is the parent domain, and if you remember when we were configuring our DNS server, this was the IP address that we used there. So it has taken this IP address on its own, and it means DHCP server and DNS servers are linked together and working pretty fine. And in case if you want to add some other IP addresses in here, you can do so. For that, you just need to mention the IP address in here. For example, if I go for 8.8.8.8, now I just need to click on add and then it will check if it is available or not and then it will add it. Now I'll just click on next from here and here it is asking about the IP address of Win server. Well, we do not use Win server anymore. Earlier, they were used to convert the NetBIOS computers' names to the IP addresses, but we do not use them anymore. So I'll just skip it and I'll click on next. And here it is asking if we want to activate the scope. This is not something very particular, do not worry about it. Even if I go for no option, things will work. I'll just click on next, click on finish, and here we have successfully created our scope. If I just click on my scope, here I have my address pool, address leases, reservations, scope options and things like that. Let me just click on my address pools and here if you see, this is the range of our IP addresses and this is the excluded IP address range. These IP addresses will not be used. Then we have address leases. Well, this is the section where you will see all the machines that are connected to your network, or you can say that you will see all the computers, mobiles, laptops or things that you have assigned IP address to. So basically it will help you to keep track of everything. Now, in order to make sure and in order to check if it is working or not, I'll open my Windows 10 and I'll show you DHCP working over there. At the moment, the scope is not working. If you see, we have a red dot in here. If I right click on it, here it says activate. So if I activate it, this will start working. But before that, I want to show you something else. So let's go to our Windows 10. And here is my Windows 10. So first of all, if I go to my network and internet settings, from here I'll go for change adapter options. Here I have my Wi-Fi, I'll right click on it. And if I check its status, let's go for its details. Here if you see DHCP is not enabled at the moment. It is using a particular IP address which is 172.18.72.11. And if you remember, when we were configuring our DNS, we had same kind of IP address over there. After closing it, I'll go to its properties. Let's go for IPv4, go to its properties again. And here we have the IP address that we are using at the moment. So what we need to do from here, we just need to make sure that it uses the IP address from our DHCP server. For that purpose, we have to make sure that our DHCP server is active. So for that, let's go back. And here if you see, the scope is not active at the moment. Right click on it and click on activate. And now you see the sign is removed and now it is activated. Now let's go back to our Windows 10. And now this time I'll go for option that says obtain an IP address automatically. I'll do the same for the DNS server and I'll click on OK. Just close this one and now it is identifying again. Now if I right click and click on status, and this time let's go to its details. Now you see that DHCP is enabled and the IPv4 address is 192.168.18.34, and that is from the same pool that we have selected when we were creating our scope. And down here we have lease obtained and lease expires. So basically we have around 4 hours of lease that we have assigned when we were creating scope, if you remember. So after 4 hours, this IP address will get expired and it will take a new one. And down here we have the IPv4 default gateway, and then we have the IPv4 DHCP server that starts from 192.168.18.1. So that shows that our DHCP server is up and running and it is working pretty fine. So that was all about the DHCP server and its configuration. And that also brings us to the end of this particular video. And I hope now you have an idea that how you can configure, set up, and how you can use your Active Directory, DNS server, DHCP servers with your Windows 10, or as a matter of fact on any other platform. And I'm sure now by watching this video, you will have a lot of skills and knowledge that can help you with your job. And if that is the case, do leave a like, subscribe and press the bell icon. I'll get back to you in the next video. Till then, take care.